Imagine you're sitting alone after a long, exhausting day. Your body feels tired. Your mind keeps racing with endless thoughts. You crave peace, but it seems so far away. You wonder if there's a simple, natural way to feel better without needing to escape your life. You close your eyes for a moment and wish for a way to heal, not just your body, but your heart and your soul too. Have you ever asked yourself why it feels so hard to find real peace in today's busy world? Have you noticed how quickly stress, anger, and sadness can take over, even when you try your best to stay calm? Do you wonder if there's a way to heal that doesn't involve running from your problems, but instead helps you gently rise above them? Let's take a very simple example. Think of a glass of muddy water. If you keep stirring it, the water stays cloudy. But if you let it sit still, the dirt slowly settles at the bottom and the water becomes clear. Your mind and heart are just like that glass. They need stillness, patience, and the right kind of wisdom to become clear and peaceful again. Welcome to Wisdom Writings. Here, we explore paths that lead to real peace, healing, and happiness. If you find value in this journey, we ask you to like the video, drop a comment to share your thoughts, and share this video with someone who might need it. There are so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% of viewers actually subscribe. Please, take a moment to subscribe to our channel. Your support truly means the world to us, and it helps us create more meaningful content for you. And don't forget, your thoughts are important, so please drop them down in the comments. We would love to hear your feelings and experiences. Buddhism is not just a religion. It is a living path of healing that has helped people for over 2,500 years. At its heart, Buddhism teaches that suffering is a part of life, but it also shows that healing is not only possible, it is natural. By understanding the truth of our experiences and the nature of our own minds, we can begin to unlock deep and lasting peace. Many people think healing only means curing the body, but in Buddhism, healing starts deep inside. It begins with seeing things clearly, accepting ourselves without judgment, and allowing compassion to grow in our hearts. Through simple practices like mindfulness, meditation, and gentle living, the body, mind, and spirit can find balance again, naturally, without force or struggle. The teachings of the Buddha were never meant to be complicated. They are simple, clear, and powerful. They remind us that we already have what we need to heal. It's not something outside of us. It's within us, waiting to be discovered. This journey will not be about changing who you are. It's about discovering the beauty and peace that have always been inside you. As you listen to these words, allow yourself to open your heart just a little more. Healing is not something that happens overnight. It is a journey of small, steady steps. In the coming parts of this video, we will explore the roots of Buddhist healing, the deep connection between your mind and body, and the beautiful practices that can gently guide you back to yourself. Each part is designed to help you, step by step, no matter where you're starting from. Healing naturally with Buddhism is not about escaping life. It's about living it more fully, more gently, and with more understanding. It's about meeting pain with compassion, stress with patience, and fear with love. It is not magic. It is a way of being. Stay with us. Your healing journey is just beginning, and you are exactly where you need to be. Understanding the roots. How Buddhist philosophy nurtures inner healing. Cool me. Sit with me. Breathe with me for a moment. Feel the ground beneath you. Feel the air around you. In this moment, you're alive. In this moment, you are enough. Today, I will tell you a story older than memory. A story that was born under a tree in the soft stillness of an Indian night more than 2,000 years ago. A young man named Siddhartha sat beneath a great fig tree. He had left behind riches, family, and comfort to find an answer to a simple but powerful question. Why do we suffer, and how can we heal? He sat in deep silence, watching his breath, feeling every pain and joy rise and fall inside him. He watched how hunger came and went, how thirst came and went, how anger rose like a flame and died like an old fire. He saw the world not with judgment, but with a gentle, open heart. And then, like the first light of morning touching the earth, he understood. He saw that suffering is part of life, but it is not the end of life. He saw that healing is not a special reward for the lucky ones. Healing is natural. Healing is as sure as the sunrise. It happens when we stop clinging, stop fighting, and start flowing with life as it truly is. This understanding became the roots of what we now call Buddhism. It is not a religion built on fear. It is not a path that demands you to believe without questioning. It is a way of seeing clearly, of living wisely, and of healing yourself from the inside out. The Buddha taught that life brings suffering, sickness, loss, sadness, aging. But he also taught something far greater. There is a path to the end of suffering. And this path is open to anyone, no matter how broken, how tired, how lost they feel. The roots of Buddhist healing are deep and strong. They are not complicated. They do not ask you to be perfect. They only ask you to be present. You're asked to look at your life gently, the way you would look at a sleeping child. Not with harshness, not with anger, but with a soft and loving heart. When you begin to look at your own life this way, something miraculous starts to happen. Your wounds begin to heal, not by force, not by pretending they do not exist, but by allowing them to be seen, to breathe, to be held in kindness. This is the first and most important medicine in Buddhism, awareness. Awareness is not thinking about your pain. Awareness is simply noticing. Noticing the tension in your shoulders. Noticing the clenching in your stomach. Noticing the sadness sitting quietly behind your smile. And instead of turning away, you stay. You breathe. You allow. Healing begins not when you fix yourself, but when you finally allow yourself to be as you are. The Buddha spoke of this many times. He said, just as the great ocean has but one taste, the taste of salt, so too does my teaching have but one taste, the taste of freedom. Freedom from what? Freedom from the chains we place around our own hearts. Chains of fear, guilt, anger, shame. Buddhism is not about escaping life. It is about freeing yourself to live life fully. When you accept yourself fully, even in your brokenness, healing begins. When you see yourself clearly, even when it hurts, healing deepens. When you let go of the belief that you must be anything other than what you are right now, healing becomes natural, effortless, and real. Healing in Buddhism is like a garden. You do not scream at a plant to grow. You do not tear open the seed to force it to bloom. You create the right conditions, sunlight, water, warmth, and then you wait patiently. You trust the process. In the same way, healing yourself is about creating the right conditions inside you. Kindness, patience, honesty, stillness. These are the sunlight and water of the soul. When your mind becomes a little calmer, your heart a little softer, you will notice something amazing. Old wounds begin to lose their sharpness. Old fears lose their power. You find a strength you did not know you had. Not the strength to fight harder, but the strength to stop fighting at all. This is the true strength the Buddha spoke of. The strength of letting go. Sometimes people ask me, Master, how can I let go? It feels impossible. And I smile, because letting go does not mean forgetting. It does not mean forcing yourself to be happy. Letting go means loosening your grip, holding life the way you would hold a small bird, gently, lovingly, without crushing it. You do not have to be perfect to heal. You do not have to be enlightened to feel peace. You simply have to be willing to take one small step at a time, even if that step is only a single breath. One breath of kindness. One breath of forgiveness. One breath of courage. The roots of Buddhism are not far away in a holy temple. They are not hidden in ancient books. They are here, right now, in your own breath, your own heartbeat, your own willingness to be present. The Buddha said, Do not look for a sanctuary in anyone except yourself. You are the healer you have been waiting for. You are the light you thought you had to find somewhere else. As we continue this journey, remember this simple truth. Healing is not a destination you reach. It is a way of walking, a way of living, a way of seeing. Each small moment you spend with awareness, each small moment you choose compassion over judgment, each small moment you allow yourself to be as you are, these are the seeds of healing. And just like a seed, though small and hidden at first, in time, it will break open and bloom in ways you cannot even imagine. Trust this. Trust yourself. The path is already under your feet. You are already enough. Let us walk on together, gently, patiently, lovingly. The mind-body connection, meditation, mindfulness, and natural recovery. Healing doesn't come from pushing, forcing, or striving for something outside of yourself. It comes from within. When you learn to quiet the mind, when you stop grasping and running after distractions, your body finds its own way to heal. Healing is not something you do, but something you allow. This is where the deep connection between mind and body becomes clear. When you're feeling stressed, anxious, or even in pain, what is your first reaction? Often it's to try to change things, to reach for a pill, to escape into distractions, to avoid the discomfort. But in Buddhism, we learn that the path to healing isn't about avoiding what's uncomfortable. It's about meeting it with an open heart. It's about sitting with the discomfort without judgment. It's about learning to breathe through the moments when life feels hard. The practice of mindfulness is the first step in this healing journey. Mindfulness is simply paying attention, truly paying attention to the present moment. It's about being aware of your thoughts, your emotions, and your body. But most importantly, it's about noticing how you react to those thoughts and emotions. When you're mindful, you stop reacting automatically. Instead, you become the observer of your experience. When you observe, you start to see patterns. You see how certain thoughts lead to certain emotions and how those emotions affect your body. You start to notice the tension in your shoulders, the tightness in your chest, the way your breath becomes shallow when you're stressed. You begin to understand that your mind and body are not separate. They are connected. What happens in one affects the other. This connection is key to healing. When you practice mindfulness, you begin to recognize the signs of stress before they overwhelm you. You can sense the buildup of tension in your body, and instead of reacting by tightening up even more, you can soften and release. You learn to breathe deeply and slowly, to relax into the present moment, and to bring your awareness to the sensations in your body. This is where meditation comes in. Meditation is a natural extension of mindfulness. It is the practice of sitting quietly, focusing your mind, and allowing the body to relax fully. It is a powerful tool for healing because it gives you the space to be with your thoughts without being controlled by them. It helps you create a space of stillness where your body can release tension and your mind can rest. Many people think meditation is about clearing the mind completely. But in reality, it's not about forcing the mind to be empty. It's about letting your thoughts come and go without attachment. It's about not clinging to the good thoughts or pushing away the bad ones. You allow everything to be as it is, without judgment. And in that space, healing naturally begins. Meditation also has a profound effect on the body. When you meditate, your body enters a state of deep relaxation. Stress hormones decrease, and healing hormones increase. Your heart rate slows, your breathing becomes deeper, and your nervous system settles into a state of balance. In this peaceful state, your body has the opportunity to repair itself, to rebuild its natural energy, and to restore its balance. Think of it like this. Your body is constantly working to heal itself. When you get a cut, your body immediately begins to heal the wound. You don't have to tell it to do that. It happens naturally. The same is true for emotional and mental wounds. Your mind and body have the capacity to heal, but they need the right environment to do so. That environment is created through practices like mindfulness and meditation. The beauty of these practices is that they don't require anything extraordinary from you. You don't need special tools, expensive treatments, or complicated rituals. All you need is your breath and your attention. You don't have to go anywhere or be anyone else. You just need to be present with what is happening in this moment. When you do this, healing begins to unfold in its own time, gently and naturally. Through meditation, you can also deepen your understanding of yourself. You can begin to see how your mind creates suffering by holding on to the past or worrying about the future. When you meditate, you realize that the present moment is the only moment that truly matters. The past is gone, and the future is not yet here. All that exists is right now. In this moment, you can choose to let go of your worries, your fears, and your attachments. You can choose to be free. This freedom is what leads to healing. Healing comes from releasing the grip on what causes pain, whether it's past regrets, future anxieties, or negative self-beliefs. When you let go of these attachments, you make space for peace, for love, and for healing. The connection between your mind and body is also strengthened through mindfulness in everyday life. It's not just about sitting in meditation for a few minutes. It's about bringing awareness to everything you do. When you eat, eat mindfully. When you walk, walk mindfully. When you speak, speak mindfully. When you listen, listen mindfully. By bringing awareness into all of your daily activities, you begin to build a deeper connection with yourself. When you are fully present, you begin to notice how your body reacts to different situations. You start to understand what brings you peace and what causes you stress. And when you know these things, you can begin to make choices that support your healing. You can choose to move away from stressors and towards peace. You can choose to feed your body with healthy, nourishing food. You can choose to nurture your mind with loving and positive thoughts. The practice of mindfulness in meditation also teaches you to be compassionate with yourself. So often, we are our own harshest critics. We judge ourselves for not being perfect, for making mistakes, for not measuring up. But in Buddhism, we learn that healing starts with self-compassion. You're not meant to be perfect. You are meant to be human. And being human means that you experience both joy and suffering. When you can embrace your imperfections with kindness, when you can let go of self-judgment, healing flows more easily. This is the true nature of Buddhism. Not to change who you are, but to accept yourself as you are and to find peace in that acceptance. Healing isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming more of who you truly are. In the next part of this journey, we will explore how Buddhist practices can help you heal not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually. But for now, remember this. Healing is already happening within you. It is natural. It is inevitable. All you have to do is stop resisting, stop running, and allow yourself to be still. In that stillness, everything you need to heal is already waiting for you. Buddhist practices for emotional healing and spiritual strength. Life, as we all know, is full of ups and downs. There are moments when we feel on top of the world, full of energy, and then there are times when the weight of the world seems to rest on our shoulders. Emotions come and go like waves, and sometimes it can feel impossible to control them. But what if I told you that there's a way to transform your emotional struggles into sources of strength, peace, and even wisdom? Buddhism offers simple yet profound teachings and practices that help us heal emotionally. It's not about trying to avoid or push away our feelings, but about understanding them, accepting them, and learning to live with them in a peaceful and balanced way. In this part of the journey, we will explore how Buddhism teaches us to work with our emotions, not as enemies to be fought, but as messengers to guide us towards inner peace. Let's start with the most powerful tool in Buddhist practice, mindfulness. Mindfulness is the art of being fully present in each moment, with a clear and accepting awareness. It means paying attention to what's happening inside you, your thoughts, your feelings, your physical sensations, without judgment. In our daily lives, we are often lost in our worries, regrets, or fantasies about the future. Mindfulness teaches us to pause, breathe, and pay attention to the present moment exactly as it is. And in that moment of awareness, emotions no longer control us. Instead, we begin to see them clearly. When we practice mindfulness, we start to notice that our emotions are not fixed. Anger, sadness, fear, these feelings are all impermanent. They come, they stay for a while, and then they pass. The problem is not in feeling these emotions, but in holding on to them, allowing them to control our actions and thoughts. Mindfulness helps us break free from this cycle. It helps us acknowledge our emotions, but not let them define who we are. Another important practice that Buddhism offers for emotional healing is meditation. Now, when most people hear the word meditation, they often think of sitting in silence for hours, trying to clear their mind. But Buddhist meditation is not about clearing the mind in a forceful way. It's about creating a space where you can observe your thoughts and feelings without getting attached to them. Meditation teaches you to sit with whatever arises, whether it's joy, sadness, frustration, or calm, without reacting, without judgment. You simply observe, accept, and let go. In meditation, we practice focusing on our breath, noticing each inhale and exhale. This act of focusing on something simple and steady helps calm the mind and allows emotions to come and go without being overwhelmed by them. Through consistent practice, meditation teaches us to be more patient with ourselves and with our emotions. We learn that it's okay to feel anger, sadness, or fear. It's okay to feel hurt. These emotions are part of being human. But through meditation, we gain the ability to let them pass without letting them control us. Buddhism also teaches us about compassion. Compassion is the foundation of emotional healing. It is the deep feeling of care and kindness towards ourselves and others, especially when we are struggling. We often judge ourselves harshly when we experience negative emotions, thinking that we should be better or stronger. But Buddhist teachings remind us that everyone, without exception, experiences pain and suffering. When we can offer ourselves compassion, we begin to heal. Compassion allows us to gently acknowledge our pain and care for ourselves in the same way we would care for a friend. Instead of criticizing ourselves for feeling hurt, we can learn to say, "It's okay. I'm here for you." One of the most powerful Buddhist practices is called loving-kindness meditation, or metta. This meditation involves silently repeating phrases like, "May I be happy," "May I be safe," "May I be healthy," "May I live with ease." Over time, we extend these wishes to others, our loved ones, strangers, and even people we may have difficulties with. This practice softens our hearts, helps us cultivate a deep sense of compassion, and heals the emotional wounds we carry. When we send out kindness to others, we also heal ourselves. We begin to realize that, at our core, we all share the same human experiences. We all want peace, love, and happiness. And when we send out these loving wishes, we are healing both ourselves and the world around us. The Noble Eightfold Path also offers guidance on healing emotional pain. It's not just a set of rules to follow, but a way of living that brings balance to our hearts and minds. Right speech, right action, right livelihood. All of these aspects of the path are about cultivating peace, kindness, and understanding in our daily lives. When we practice these principles, we start to shift how we relate to others and to ourselves. We stop reacting out of anger or fear and begin to respond with wisdom and compassion. There is also the practice of gratitude. Buddhism teaches us that by focusing on what we have rather than what we lack, we can shift our emotional state from one of scarcity to one of abundance. Gratitude helps us appreciate the little things in life: a smile from a stranger, a warm cup of tea, the beauty of nature. By bringing attention to what we are grateful for, we start to heal the emotional wounds that arise from comparison, jealousy, or dissatisfaction. In Buddhism, the idea of impermanence is key to emotional healing. Everything in life is constantly changing, including our emotions. This understanding helps us avoid getting stuck in negative feelings. When we feel sad or angry, we can remind ourselves that these feelings are temporary, just like everything else in life. They will pass, just as the seasons change. We do not need to hold on to them forever. By understanding that our emotions are impermanent, we begin to free ourselves from their grip. There is also the practice of letting go. This is not about suppressing or ignoring our emotions, but about realizing when it's time to release them. Holding on to anger, resentment, or regret only keeps us trapped in the past. Letting go allows us to make space for peace, for healing, and for growth. It's about recognizing that some things are beyond our control, and it's okay to release them. Letting go is not weakness, it is strength. It takes courage to face our emotions, and even more courage to release them when we no longer need them. Buddhism also emphasizes the importance of community, the Sangha. It's a reminder that we do not have to heal alone. Sometimes, healing comes from the support of others, from being surrounded by people who understand, who care, and who walk the path with us. In the Buddhist tradition, the Sangha is a group of like-minded individuals who support one another on their spiritual journey. Whether it's through meditation groups, support networks, or simply spending time with compassionate people, the Sangha helps us feel connected and supported as we heal. As we continue on the path of healing through Buddhism, we start to see that emotional healing is not a destination, but a process. It is a lifelong journey. It takes time, patience, and dedication. But with each step, we move closer to inner peace, to emotional freedom, and to spiritual strength. By incorporating these practices into our daily lives, mindfulness, meditation, compassion, gratitude, and letting go, we begin to transform not only our emotions, but our entire way of being. We learn that healing doesn't happen in a moment, but through consistent effort, small steps, and a heart that is open to change. Buddhism teaches us that we are not defined by our emotions, our struggles, or our past. We are defined by our capacity to heal, to grow, and to live with kindness and wisdom. And as we heal ourselves, we also help heal the world around us. Transformative journeys, real-life stories of healing through Buddhism. As we travel through life, we encounter many struggles, pain, loss, fear, and moments of deep sadness. These experiences are part of being human, and they can often make us feel as though we are disconnected from our true selves. But what if the answers to our suffering, the key to our healing, had always been within us? What if the path to healing is not one we need to search for far and wide, but one we need to rediscover in the simplest of ways? Buddhism offers a profound and transformative way to approach these struggles. It teaches us that we can find peace even in the most difficult moments. Healing through Buddhism is not about ignoring or running away from pain. Rather, it's about acknowledging it, understanding it, and working through it with wisdom, mindfulness, and compassion. Let me share with you a few stories. Simple stories of ordinary people who found extraordinary healing through the teachings of Buddhism. There was a woman named Maria who lived a life filled with anxiety. Every day, she felt overwhelmed by the demands of her job, her relationships, and the constant pressure to meet expectations. No matter how hard she tried, she couldn't escape the tight grip of her worries. But one day, she came across a Buddhist teaching that changed her life. It was a simple phrase, "Let go of what you cannot control." It hit her like a wave. Maria began to meditate, not with the goal of eliminating her anxiety, but with the simple intention of observing it without judgment. She realized that her anxiety was not who she was. It was simply a passing experience in her mind. Through daily mindfulness practice, She learned to detach from her thoughts and feelings, allowing them to come and go without getting caught in them. Slowly, the anxiety lost its power over her. She found that by being present with her experience and letting go of her need for control, she could experience peace even in the midst of stress. Then there's John. John had experienced deep grief after the loss of his mother. He spent many months in a fog, unable to find meaning in life, feeling lost and disconnected. One day, a friend introduced him to the teachings of the Buddha on impermanence, the understanding that all things are temporary. At first, John resisted this idea. How could something so painful, something as deep as his grief, ever be temporary? But as he listened to the teachings, he began to see things in a new light. He realized that his grief was a natural response to his loss, but it was not permanent. His love for his mother would remain, but the heaviness of grief would eventually soften. John started practicing meditation to sit with his feelings, not to push them away, but to allow them to arise and pass without attachment. As time went on, he found that the intense pain of his grief began to fade. It wasn't that he stopped missing his mother, but he was able to hold on to the love they shared without the constant ache. Buddhism taught him that healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means embracing life's flow with acceptance. Another story comes from a man named Ravi. Ravi had struggled with anger for most of his life. Whether it was in traffic, in his relationships, or simply with the state of the world, anger seemed to be his constant companion. It was a fiery, intense emotion that burned brightly inside him, often leading him to say or do things he would later regret. But everything changed for Ravi when he encountered a teaching from the Buddha on mindfulness and the power of awareness. Ravi began practicing mindfulness in small ways, focusing on his breath, noticing his thoughts and emotions without acting on them. One day, during a heated argument with a friend, Ravi caught himself before the anger could take hold. He paused and remembered the practice of mindfulness. Instead of reacting impulsively, he took a deep breath and simply observed the anger. He realized that the anger was just a feeling, a passing wave, not something he had to act on. As Ravi continued practicing mindfulness, his anger began to lose its grip on him. It didn't mean that he never felt anger again, but he no longer let it control him. He learned to create space between the feeling and his actions, giving himself the freedom to respond with patience and understanding. Over time, his relationships improved, and he began to feel a deep sense of peace, knowing that he no longer had to be ruled by his emotions. These stories are not extraordinary. They're the stories of everyday people who, through the practice of Buddhism, discovered the healing power that was always within them. Each person, in their own way, learned to approach life's challenges with a deeper sense of awareness, compassion, and mindfulness. They didn't find a quick fix or a magical solution. Rather, they found a natural way to heal and transform their suffering into a source of wisdom and peace. The beauty of Buddhism is that it doesn't require us to be perfect or have all the answers. It invites us to be present with what is, to embrace our imperfections, and to trust in the natural process of healing. Each step on this journey, no matter how small, brings us closer to the truth of who we are. It is a journey that is always unfolding, always in motion, and always leading us toward greater peace and understanding. These stories are just a glimpse of the transformative power of Buddhism. The path of healing is available to all of us, no matter where we are in life. It is not a path of avoiding pain, but of understanding it, embracing it, and learning to live with it in a way that brings us peace. So, the question is, what is your story? What is the pain, the struggle, the challenge that you're facing right now? And how can you begin to approach it with the wisdom, mindfulness, and compassion of Buddhism? You don't need to have all the answers today. The journey itself is the healing. And just like Maria, John, and Ravi, you too can find the peace and healing that has always been waiting for you. The stories of healing through Buddhism are endless. Each one is a reminder that no matter how difficult life may seem, there's always a way to return to our true selves. The key is not to look for healing in external things, but to look inward, where the wisdom and peace of Buddhism are already alive and waiting for you to discover. Take the first step. Trust the process. The healing will unfold naturally. The path forward. Embrace a lifetime of healing and growth with Buddhism. Imagine standing on the edge of a beautiful, vast ocean. The waves are calm, the breeze gentle, and the sky stretches endlessly above you. It is peaceful, yet there's a sense of excitement, an invitation to take the next step into the unknown, to dive deeper into the waters of wisdom and healing. This is the path before you. Healing, in the Buddhist sense, is not a destination. It is a way of being. It's a continual practice of waking up to the present moment, acknowledging the challenges that life brings, and meeting them with mindfulness and compassion. There is no final goal where everything becomes perfect, no end where the work stops. It's about growth, about understanding that the journey itself is the healing process. So, how do you walk this path forward? How do you carry the wisdom of Buddhism into every aspect of your life? First, know that healing begins with acceptance. Not the acceptance of pain or suffering as something to simply endure, but the acceptance that life is filled with both light and shadow, joy and sorrow. There will be moments when everything feels heavy, when you question why things are the way they are, when you feel lost. But Buddhism teaches us that it's okay to feel this way. Life doesn't demand that we be happy all the time. What it asks of us is to be present with the pain, with the discomfort, and with the beauty, all of it. You see, every moment, whether it brings pain or pleasure, is an opportunity for growth. There's no need to resist. The more you try to push away the difficult moments, the more they persist. Instead, meet them with an open heart. Let them come, let them go, and with each passing moment, learn something new. This is what the Buddha meant when he spoke of impermanence. Everything changes. You will change. The pain will pass, and so will the joy. Nothing stays forever, but everything can teach us something. In your daily life, you can practice this acceptance in simple ways. When something goes wrong, pause for a moment. Instead of reacting, take a deep breath. In that breath, you can reconnect with your inner peace. You can remind yourself that, just like a storm, the difficult feelings will pass. You don't need to hold on to them. Let them be, and then let them go. Next, healing comes through understanding. Buddhism invites us to look deeply at our own minds, to see the patterns that we may not even be aware of. It's easy to get caught in the cycle of thinking, reacting, and repeating the same mistakes. But the more you practice mindfulness,